Near the Golden Gate Park and the Pacific Ocean is the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, which was founded in 1917. The conservatory is the only fully accredited, independent college of music in the West. Its president, Milton Salkin, wrote, "I believe that musical excellence must be an ultimate goal, but I am convinced that the directions we take demand more awareness, more sensitivity, and more insight." The conservatory is pleased to have Judith Aston introduce her work, Aston Patterning, to 14 highly skilled musicians.
Sometimes you take a shower, you relax, but it's not at all. It's so simple that it's hard almost.
Judith Aston has a master's degree in fine arts and education and pursued her interests in movement education, which led her to develop Aston Patterning. Her thesis is that as we hold unnecessary tension in various parts of the body, thusly we restrict potential movement, which often leads to abuse and stress.
I play the guitar, and sometimes it's very easy to be tense. Squeezing, you mentioned squeezing harder than you need to squeeze in order to support the instrument, and it's quite obvious to me that that detracts.
Any sort of tension for a vocalist, or for anybody, but for a vocalist, just goes straight to your throat.
Like when I do make a gesture, I usually feel like self-conscious, and it tends to be stiff and not natural looking because of it. I don't feel free to kind of, like you kind of let your voice go with the emotion and the inner feeling. I don't always feel that my body does. Also because I'm tall, I've always been, screamed out about posture and that kind of thing.
My throat gets incredibly dry. I have trouble swallowing and tightness in here.
Steve experiences headaches after recitals. The challenge is to evoke movement in his whole body, rather than the sharp, isolated movements of just his head, neck, and arms. Each student will receive 10 individual lessons from an Aston Patterning teacher in order to discover the way he is using his body in relationship to his music and discover other, more agreeable ways of moving.
Become aware of tension between my shoulder blades and my upper neck, the small of my back, and to some extent in the arm.
The students commonly reported, after playing or singing or conducting, that they experience tension. These youthful musicians will learn to exchange unnecessary, stressful movement for more efficient patterns of ease. Aston Patterning teaches by contrasting familiar movement patterns to the newly learned movement. Greg feels being tall presents a problem. Judith demonstrates to Greg his familiar walk in contrast to how he can develop new movement patterns to his advantage.
What's much more on the heels and anything else?
And sort of hits the back.
Okay, you're discovering a really nice concept. So if you're inhibiting yourself or holding yourself up or back or anything else, then it does look contrived. Okay? Well, the head goes forward because of what's below. And so people will say, okay, my head's forward, gee, it shouldn't be there. They pull their head back and then they get all stiff in their neck. So there's a way that your body parts are going to give your neck and head just the right message. Let me show you something here. Wait, you just stand up a little. How's this feel to be short for change? Okay, just look at me as if we're talking. Now, a lot of people that are tall, they go like this. You see? But you can still be tall and talk and make fairly good contact like this, yes? But the difference is that most people go like this.
Mm-hmm.
And they try to live in a much shorter body than they are. So like if I'm well, how tall am I now?
God, 7 feet.
Okay, so if I'm 7 feet and I keep trying to live to be 6'5", then my spine is going to tell me about it before too long.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm 7 foot and I can relate to a 4'11" person just by how I use my body,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm agreeable to be 7 foot.
Mm-hmm.
How is it?
Great.
Okay, good. I want to ask you about places of stress in your body. Do you notice anything like in your head or neck?
Headache when I walk off stage. This is usually only after a full recital.
Well, so this doesn't happen like with a...
Not during a practice session.
Mm-hmm. But at a full recital? How long is a full recital?
Usually anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half.
I'm interested to follow this with you because you do move your head a lot. I recall from watching you play, and your hair moves a lot in space. And it would be interesting for us to see if there's some time during that performance that you tighten up in here.
I know I tighten in here.
Your jaw?
Yeah, page turners will tell me that I click my teeth when I'm accompanied.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Your teeth. Let me see that one more time. Aha. Now, put your hands right here and feel what happens when you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so we want to look at that. Every once in a while, if you'll use this image of just seeing your ribs rest closer together as you exhale, you'll find that there's much more air that's been trapped in there that wants to get out. Will you use that image and be with yourself right now and just follow your exhale from the inside, okay? See if there's more air.
Judith Aston helps Jenny let go of difficult breathing patterns, and this allows a more natural, full breath.
I want you to pay attention to this stress and this stress while you play the same piece, okay? Will you go in your more familiar way and play this note, and then come
When
play
Glenn's
this note?
body is held in unnecessary tension, it is more difficult for him to play the xylophone. Aston patterning teachers know that restricted movement restricts musical tone and resonance as well.
Oh. I wouldn't have to get my track shoes on, huh?
No, in fact, I think you're going to discover, Glenn, that when you're not on hold, like boom, boom, but you're easier, you're going to have faster timing. You'll be available to hit those more quickly.
So a lot of times I don't have 3 measures to get over to here. I have one bang, and it's right over there.
Can you let your chin also go up? There. Good.
Judith Aston points out
Settle
to
back
Steve
down to
the
about
integral relationship
right
of
here.
one part of the body to the
And
whole
from
body,
here, will you let your
since
whole
the
body
entire body must
rock
accommodate
and
the
rock,
musical
rock
instrument.
A little bit until you feel weight, particularly out to the hands. Yes. Is that agreeable right there? Mm-hmm. Good. And you notice that as you begin to fall forward, your eyes will go from what seems to be a horizon line to a slightly down line. Like if I said, look at the corner over there, the way that you could do this is by tilting your body to look at it, rather than being back here and tilting just your head, right? Which is the way most people do things. Because this is definitely changing. You see, really drop down in there, like this, and let your chin come out. Yeah. And notice the kind of effort that's involved just in taking a breath. And notice where your air comes in if you breathe through your nose.
Which I rarely do.
Right, you breathe through your mouth, right. Okay, come to this other place that you've discovered from here. Just let your head be wherever it wants to be, and notice your air. What about when you breathe through your nose?
It's much easier. It's like where there's a blockage that somewhere back in here that's been taken away.
Just do this for a moment. Be very still in your pelvis and do that one section. Yes. See, the stillness makes your whole body jar. Now, allow whatever movement needs to happen to happen.
Yeah, much better.
Yes, good. That's what I'd like you to play with. More than even just the height, just
Uh-huh.
the movement.
Yeah.
Good.
There is something that definitely feels right, I think. But I could do is start working on something new or something where I don't have any of these preconceptions as to how it should feel.
Very nice idea. Very nice idea. Would you do that?
Yeah.
Good.
Can I say what I feel is working against me?
Yes, absolutely.
I feel that I'm being worked against by the cello because it leans on me.
This is good that you noticed that.
Yeah,
That's exactly right. Keep going with it.
I feel pain in the upper back because I'm kind of, I don't know what I'm doing exactly, but I sort of let the cello lean on me and then I lean over it.
As it comes to you. Right. There.
The next one.
Yes, it wants to be a little further away.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So play with this idea, will you? From here to there, just a couple of times to let your eyes and your muscles become accustomed to this new relationship.
This moment is very important for Elizabeth. She's discovering that a change of the cello's placement can be more beneficial.
So you come to meet it, yes. As you go to lift this heavy object, will you rock, go ahead and let, yes, your right foot is a little bit more forward. Go ahead and feel the assistance by leaning forward.
Rick is learning to refine his movement, using his weight and leverage in order to produce more clarity in his musical direction.
Yes.
Feels about 2 pounds lighter.
Lighter than it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. It really is.
Isn't that fun to discover that a lot of the unnecessary effort is what we're doing to ourselves?
Well, I was feeling that after about the 3rd or 4th lesson I got out of the lesson, went downstairs and picked up a cup of coffee in a styrofoam cup, very familiar object, and the weight, it felt so light, I was amazed, very amazed.
Use so much unnecessary effort to even hold that coffee cup or hold the pen or the baton.
Yeah, right. Well, coming out of the session and just being so relaxed, it carried over for some reason. I picked something up and it was great. I was just going, wow, wandering around, picking up things that I was familiar with and going, oh.
It's a new...
Yeah, it's very new, very different.
Yeah, great.
I feel like a kid who's got a new toy. So...
It's fun or...
Yeah. I can do the same thing now using maybe 1/3 of the effort that I was using before, just in terms of sound. Everything sounds 100% better up. Just what comes out of the piano, I hear much better. Still having a little bit of ins and outs, getting around passage things where...
With curvilinear movement, is that what you're doing?
Yeah, it's a matter of... It's like I feel really gawky at times because I'm using different parts of my body to achieve, what I would just lock myself into, before. And, it doesn't come out quite as well yet, but it comes out so much easier.
Good. Good. Changing your weight distribution on your hip. Right. And then maybe not quite as far this way. Good. And now, just move your hands in this place and see if you can feel that register on your left hip.
Steve discovers the importance of synchronized movement of his pelvis to his arms.
So you're sitting vertically up, and you do this. Now play. And that's one of the problems with getting around the curves, is that your pelvis has been sitting exactly vertical while you've been leaning here, rather than allowing the complement. Yes, play with this now, just a little bit. I hope it's okay that you're a little bit higher. It will make this, now that you can lean side to side, it'll make it easier.
Oh, there are times when I'll be playing big chord passages where my knee is jammed right up. I mean, you couldn't pry it loose. That's how tight. that I have, I have to be just to get around.
Yes, so I guess maybe you are on hold then. Okay.
Very much so.
There were quite a few things we were doing today. Really, the imprint of your movement coming all the way through your pelvis onto the chair, for one. Finding your base of support that allows you the greatest ease. Allowing the movement of your hands to register through your shoulders, your jaw, and your head, and your spine, actually. These were the places of focus for today.
Rick is applying his new movement patterns to his conducting. The next step is to reduce his strenuous breathing patterns.
Yeah, now can you drop your shoulders? Okay. There's a place in your playing when you start to lift up, the shoulders go up as well. And I'm wanting you to find the relationship of where these ribs can expand for you and give you the air you need without running into your shoulders, which makes you make a sound with your breath that I hear, particularly if you're being recorded.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember a tuba player we had that was particularly loud, and you can just see them bouncing up and down with their shoulders while they're breathing. That's very interesting.
Good. Play with it now, will you? In fact, yeah. Right.
And it's much easier to breathe, too. I mean, it's just, it feels much more open.
Yes.
Right.
All of the students involved in the Aston patterning seminar were videotaped playing their musical instruments at the commencement of the workshop and also at the end of their 10th patterning lesson. Steve is analyzing how he played the piano before receiving his first Aston patterning lesson.
Parallel, but seeing it from an angle like that, you can see it tell it.
Parallel to your leaning back.
Right, but it's not parallel to the keyboard the way it should be. Yeah. That really bothers me.
What? Say that.
The foot.
The foot pounds in the middle.
I'll watch people playing recitals. It drives me crazy, and here I am doing it.
So you don't like that?
No, not at all. Since I was 14, 15, I had a terrible problem with nerves, playing with people, coming from a teacher who is just an absolute terror and perfectionist. So I still am bound by this thing that nothing is quite good enough, and it could always be better.
Really nice. Do you like what you see?
Very much so.
I mean, since you don't have to practice now. Right. I'm telling you, you don't need to practice anymore. You just have to give yourself the right instructions about falling and moving.
You know, that it's a terrible, like I almost feel tempted to just, it's so much fun to play through this stuff. Why don't I just do it a few times and then go on to something else instead of really going into something?
Great. You want to play with that idea?
If I could, incorporate these ideas with the same sort of regimented practice routine that I've been going through, I think some good things could happen. I found myself sitting at a piano and really enjoying just playing, just listening to myself, not making any judgments, just everything sounded so different that I just sat down and had fun playing the piano. It feels now like the pedal is just an extension of everything else instead of something that I do, well, now I'm going to put the pedal down. And I've heard, comments after my playing as, some people heard more of the pedal than they did of me. Rather than...
Yes.
That's what it is. It's just my foot will go down with my weight now.
Yes. Yes.
Rather than me having to consciously move my foot.
Beautiful.
Just for the fact that I'm sitting higher now, things sound completely different. I think just because my ear is much closer to here. Things up here are much clearer.
Turn the volume up.
Elizabeth seems critical of her previous performance patterns.
Fingers are different, too.
You can really appreciate why your arm needs to come way around, because you're
Yeah.
back in here.
After her 10th lesson, Elizabeth demonstrates movement confidence equal to her skill.
Just the whole support from your pelvis through your chest, through your shoulders. Look at your arms now. They look soft and curved.
Yeah, and it looks easier.
Look at this little thing. And watch your whole body from your pelvis to this last one.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And then, there, yeah. And your face.
And just a tension through here also in what I'm doing. And the feet look like they don't quite know what they're supposed to do next.
Sound is so different here in the way they come across.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Just funk, funk.
Yes. Look at that slant.
Yeah.
Has to do with your chest. But the support for your head is...
The support for my arm, too. I mean, it's moving so differently.
Rick is now using his entire body to conduct, which is providing clearer direction for the orchestra.
I've noticed that my arm has freed up quite a bit through the patterning sessions by just applying the things that Judith has been telling us to do. And
The students wanted to share their experiences from the 4-week project.
I don't get tension through the muscle areas that it would really, build up to where by the end of a piece, your arm would feel like it was ready to fall off,
The movement was more natural than before, much more natural. So we can tell, when we were playing, we can tell what he wanted, and the beat was more clear. And I'm sorry to say that, but it was even. I mean, it was before.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you change the beat or
You
you
mean
change
rhythm?
the tempo, rhythm,
Yeah.
but it was more even. Now I feel more like it's real me, and it's very natural for me. Have to, have a lot of pressure to myself to keep myself close up or anything. I feel very comfortable. I mean, happy now because music is so beautiful and so deep, so wonderful, and I want to share that with people. That's why I play the violin.
didn't feel in the beginning that it would look different, but as I was singing, the sensations that I felt were incredibly different. When I would get really physically tense, when something would upset me, like I couldn't get with this one section of a song, then I would get emotionally tense because I would match that because it would just all build up. So when I get really emotionally upset, you know, I can accept that and say, well, I made a mistake, or yeah, I did that wrong, and I can start over again and really work at it instead of, you know, ending up nowhere. That's been really the most beneficial.
Well, I can feel that my body cavities are much more in a position to accept, to resonate.
But I never felt comfortable sitting up straight, you see, so I never did that. And I was always experimenting with sitting back or, you know, leaning way back or taking the horn off and bending way down and stuff. But now that through the patterning, you know, I found how to sit up straight so it's comfortable, and that's what really works for the horn right now. You have a lot of power in your hands when you have an instrument, and it's good to exercise that power through the instrument. And some people do it through their cars or, you know, get really aggressive and things, and it's just nice to put it through the horn.
Although Judith Aston is not a musician, Aston patterning worked for these students because it can be applied to all aspects of human movement. The San Francisco Conservatory of Music feels very fortunate to have supported this workshop and that Aston Patterning has complied with our goal in assisting the students toward musical excellence.